If you're looking for inspiration, you might find it right in your home. We're going to do a painting of my dining room today. Let's get started. So today we're painting an interior scene, and there always has to be a compelling reason for me to paint something. And in this case, it is those pink chairs. I bought those pink chairs, just two of them, just to lighten up my space a little bit and have a little bit of whimsy. So pink is a mid-tone, and so I'm putting in just those pink mid-tones. That is going to give me a reference that I can go by that will tell me what's lighter than that color will be my lights, and anything that is in the same value as those colors will be a mid-tone, and then anything that's dark will be darker than that color. Usually I like to put in my darkest darks first, but I wanted to establish where I was. You know, you have to have a starting point, so that was the chairs. All right, now we're getting down to business. Now I'm going to put in the darks. All right, so this is the first pass in a painting where I'm going to establish the underlying, what I call notan. I don't call it notan, it's called a notan. The underlying pattern of darks that exists in a painting. There has to be, or it is really helpful if you have a composition with an overlying understructure of darks that unify the whole painting, so that so things don't just appear as if they're not anchored in space in some way. So that's what's happening here. I made a second I think that's a dark as well. Yeah, a second dark that's going in. So that's all I'm concentrating on now is I'm putting in some darks, and I'm comparing them to each other as I go along. So none of these colors now is as light as that pink that I put in. That's what I need to do. That's what I have to remember here. Put in your darks, put in your darks, put in your darks. Now I'm not matching my darks to the picture. I'm matching the in other words, I'm not going to match my colors to the photograph, but I am going to match the value to the photograph. There I'm painting the negative space in between those little bins. Those bins are going to be midtones. But like I said, I'm putting in the underlying darks first, all those underlying darks. And now I'm going to, the reason I keep putting dabs on the left is I need to test them. I need to see where they lie. According to my eye, like what value are they? Are they darks, mediums, or lights? This is a medium now. So I'm playing back and forth is kind of what I'm saying here. I am establishing my darks, but I'm also playing with putting in some of my mediums as well, so that I can start to see where shapes are going to interlock and where shapes come together. Because ultimately, what you're trying to do, or what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to make it look like there's space on a flat piece of paper. And we all know this is a two-dimensional surface, so you got to create the illusion. Well, one way to create the illusion is by being able to make things look like they have volume. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. So establishing those darks, and I'm simplifying forms. I keep squinting my eyes when I look at that photograph. The idea is not to put in absolutely everything that's in the photograph. I need to simplify and become a designer here and decide what are the things that I think are important to include, what are the things that are not. That thing that just went in is the Christmas tree. We were decorated for Christmas at that time. And that's why I wanted to put in those aren't lights, but they were like these little pom-poms that were so pretty. I don't know. The house looked really nice, and I thought I'd like to remember the way it looked at this time. So right now I only have midtones and my darks, and of course white. So that is my lightest light. And I always like to say, keep the whites of your paper white and your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color. So what I'm doing here is I am massing for value and mixing for color. That tabletop, for example, is all one value for right now, and it's all one color. That is going to change as this goes along. But for right now, like I said, I've got to simplify. So I'm keying off that pink as being my midtone and white as being my lightest light. And then the dark, that brown I originally put in, is going to be my dark. So right now I've got lights, mediums, and darks going on. And that's all I care about when I look at the photograph. All I do is look at shape and say, all right, what shape is that? And what value is it? And then I plug in a color that will match that. Shape, value, shape, value, shape, value. That's all I'm doing. I don't think at all about things in terms of what does the chair look like, what does the table look like. I try to go into a place where language doesn't matter anymore. Like those are the bins, for example, but I'm not saying how do I paint the bins. I just say what color, what shape, what color, what shape. What color, what shape, what value? It's actually those three things. I get completely into that side of my brain. Someone could be talking to me when I'm painting like this, and I won't have any idea what they're saying because I'm just not in the language part of my brain anymore. I'm in the other part of your brain that processes nonverbal information. And when you get there, it's a lovely place to be. It almost feels like someone jerks you back. If the phone rings or something like that, I'll feel like, like a car going down a highway, and suddenly there's a, stop. And then it's kind of hard to go back into the flow of the thing, which is why I call myself a one-shot painter. I don't do very well with layer after layer after layer. I just don't, kind of my personality seems to be I want to hit it the first time if I can and get it right. And like I say, in simplified form, and I just don't spend a lot of time with layers. I'm not saying I don't layer ever, and I do, and I will in this painting as well. But I like to move swiftly, not as swiftly as I'm painting in this video. This video is 4 times as fast as I paint. So this whole painting probably took 35 minutes to complete, and I think it's a 9 by 12 inch piece of paper. All right, I just for the first time went into neutrals, you'll notice. There we go, there's a nice neutral. It's not neutral meaning some sort of earth tone, but I mix all my neutrals from colors I've already used. So that neutral would have been mixed from probably ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and a little bit of Naples yellow. That's what the triad is that I just put in there on the side of the wall. I like to use triads when I can, 3 colors to fill in 1 space. That's what I mean when I say mass for value, mix for color. Now I establish what the value is in my head, and then I mix color to match that value. I don't mix them all together. I don't make them into one color. What I try to do is put them near each other and let them mix and mingle. And that's really the thing that I love about watercolor. That's what watercolor does best. This is a dry piece of 140-pound weight paper. And if you put wet paint next to wet paint and let them just kiss each other, they will want to go, they'll want to glom onto each other. They want to meet and mingle. And it is those moments that I like the best in a watercolor, where my brush isn't involved at all. The water itself is doing the painting. I'm just a delivery system. Sort of similar to what maple syrup is on a waffle. A waffle, does anyone ever eat a waffle all by itself? I don't think so. Waffle is just a delivery system for maple syrup. It's got all those little little indentations where syrup can get stuck. And so I call waffle a delivery system for maple syrup. Well, I'm a delivery service system for watercolor paint, but the paint itself is the one doing all the work. So I'm dancing around this painting quite a bit, which is not something that I usually do, but this was a really complex painting. There's a lot to consider here. There was just as much to incorporate and put in the painting as there was to keep out. And that's the part where you really have to be a designer. Not paint exactly what the photograph shows you, but what will best serve the composition. Now we're getting to what I call final adjustments. I'm putting in absolutely the darkest darks. I had already decided that at the beginning, but usually as I get near the end of a painting, I can go a little bit darker. I just want to get that value range as large as I can, as wide as I can. If a painting is all sort of in the same value range, if it's all mid-tones, for example, your painting just doesn't have very much punch to it. It looks sort of insipid. So I try to get as large a value range as I can, and that's what's happening here. And a very little bit of careful work there, but not much. I'm not known for my careful work, in all fairness. Oh gosh. Oh, here we've speeded up again because I've come back to the finishing touches. So all I'm doing here is I'm sometimes putting on a second coat so there's more brightness. That's not going to change the value. The second coat on top of the same color makes the color brighter, but it doesn't change the value at all. That's a strange phenomenon in watercolor, but it's really true. So now I really feel like I hit what I needed to hit in the painting. I don't think there's very much left. I've left the whites of my paper white, and oh, I guess I'm going in just a little bit darker. I guess I just didn't feel like the value range was quite what I wanted it to be. And that's what I call final adjustments. And in the end, I'm kind of happy with this painting. It's kind of naive, it's kind of sweet, and it's fun to put a painting on the wall in the same room as the painting that you painted. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, so that's my living room. Thanks for watching. Remember to keep the whites of your paper white, your paints wet, mass for value, mix for color. Please join my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.